What's going on? This is Aaron Price, the CEO of Tech United. I am here for a LinkedIn Live with a very special guest, Alex Mashinsky, the founder and CEO of Celsius Network. Alex, it is great to see you. It's been a while. Great to see what you've been up to. I usually end with the high five. It's been so long, I think we should start with the high five. 1, 2, 3, boom. How's it going?
Great. Thanks, Aaron. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
See you surviving Corona. You know, it's definitely, we were all tested for the last 2 years with both with our health and our mental health. So here we are. We're in good shape.
What would you say for you first of all, where are you geographically set up right now? I know you bounce around a little bit.
I live in Manhattan. I'm right now in our office in Hoboken, but most of the time I'm still in New York. Never left New York. Yeah.
Excellent. So what would you say has been your number one pandemic lesson?
Well, I definitely got to appreciate friends and family because obviously we were kind of on lockdown for quite some time and didn't get to travel. So I miss a lot of family members and friends that I didn't get to see. So a lot of Zoom hours, but it's just not the same, you know. So
yeah.
And you know, on the health side, I think we all take it for granted. You know, we take it that we'll live to 100 or whatever. And when you go through some of these things, you see other people succumb to COVID. You realize that every day on this earth is a gift.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, Alex was one of the early speakers at the New Jersey Tech Meetup. You were one of the highest reviewed speakers. You've got a really storied and fantastic entrepreneurial background. But now with Celsius, continuing to shake things up, not a surprise, but really fascinating story that is evolving, especially because just a couple of weeks ago, forgive me if I get the details a bit off, but I think you were sued by the state of New Jersey. You happen to be in the state of New Jersey, so that must not have felt so great. But tell people what Celsius is about and why it's under so much pressure.
Sure. So I think you know, we talked about it in the meetups as well that the rates worldwide are going down to zero. I didn't have a solution to the problem back then, but I think we all kind of predicted this kind of like you know, that song "I'm Turning Japanese." So that's what's happening to all of us, right? This rates going to zero, growth going to zero, and the Fed or central banks around the world using MMT and QE to effectively create like an artificial economy. They put a safety net under the entire economy, which basically slowed down all economic activity because it's not driven by a real economic driver. So the piece that we focused on was really this idea that you should be earning yield on your money. You should be earning interest income. And we found a way to create real yield outside of the Fed universe. And basically on the blockchain, if you're using Bitcoin or Ethereum or other assets, you can earn real yield, like stable coins, which are, you know, like a version of the dollar, digital dollar, earn 8.8% on the Celsius network. And at any time, you can pull them out and use them as real dollars in the real world. So that's the main function that Celsius provides. Its ability for you to earn yield. Also, you can defer your taxes. You can basically borrow or do a margin borrow against your Bitcoin or Ethereum, take a loan and defer your taxes. That's what the rich people do to minimize their tax liabilities. So those are
I didn't realize that. So you're saying if I had $1 million of Bitcoin and I had never cashed it out and I was about to, it was going to have a big, you know, tax burden. Instead of doing that, I could borrow against $1 million indefinitely. Is that
indefinitely? Yes, that's
wow.
If you look why Donald Trump didn't pay any tax or why Jeff Bezos didn't pay any taxes last year, some of the richest people in the world, they just borrow against their assets. They never sell the assets.
That's interesting. Clearly, I'm showing myself as not one of the richest people in the world. So do you consider, I'm working on it, Alex, do you consider Celsius a bank?
We're definitely not a bank. We don't have a banking license. We don't provide banking services. We legally not allowed to take dollar deposits. We can't touch dollars. So we don't do almost anything banks do. And we our focus is on digital currencies. These are determined as commodities, right? I think both the CFTC and the SEC determined both Bitcoin and Ethereum to be commodities. So the analogy would be that you give me sugar, you lend me sugar, and I pay you a little bit more sugar. If you give me 1 pound, I will return 1.1 pound to you a year later. That's the analogy.
So how do you get such fantastic yields? How, I know there's a range based on the coin, but what is it? What generates those yields?
So yeah, it's a great question. Look, 4 years ago when we started Celsius, first everybody said this is crazy, it's impossible. 4 years later, we have over 100 competitors, and Celsius has 25 billion in assets. So obviously, not just that we proved that it's possible, but 100 other companies proved that you can replicate. You know that in science, the most important part is not discovering something; it's other people replicating your experiment and proving that what you're saying is true. So here, we clearly have proven that it's that basically the real economy is on the blockchain. The fake economy is the one that we're living in every day, where again the Fed decides who are the winners, who are the losers. They decide whose debt to buy, right? They decide. That's why you see companies issuing record debt, even failing companies, zombie companies, issuing record debt because the buyers of that debt know that they can always sell that paper to the Fed. So, and again, this is the Japanization of our economy, of our dollar, and we don't believe that that's the right way to run a free economy. So the real value of the dollar is priced in a real market, independent market, on the blockchain. Buyers and sellers, borrowers and lenders determine the rate. And right now, because the velocity of the dollar on the blockchain is 20 times higher than in the real economy, than our regular economy, people are willing to pay much more for that dollar. They're willing to pay 9-10%, and we give 8.8 of that back to our customers, who basically lend us the stable coins or the Bitcoin or the Ethereum.
I saw you recently posted about the actual rate of return on the US dollar, and I want to make sure I get this right, but basically that the true cost of money being close to 8 to 10%, not this 0 or 50 basis points rate that we're seeing in other industries. I mean, there's a huge divide here, right? Where there is often such a big disparity, there's usually opportunity and a lot of wealth creation. Does this get driven towards 3%? Does it get driven up to 15 as those 100 competitors get hungrier for the next 25 billion in assets? Where does this go?
Well, so again, when we launched 4 years ago, the rate was closer to 4%. And we only had, I don't know, 40 or 50 million in assets back then. So it's actually doing the opposite of what we expected. We were sure that the rates will stay stable or go down over time. But because the crypto economy, the blockchain, has grown so fast, again, now it's $2 trillion in overall market cap, the need for dollars has increased dramatically, right? So, and you still have most of the banks in the world are not participating, like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, they're not participating in this economy. So all the prime brokers, all the tier one banks are excluded. So there's a shortage of dollars. So the yield is an indication of how much dollars are needed into this economy. So I can tell you right now, if we got another $5 billion in stable coins, right, we would be able to deploy all of that without the rate being affected. So that's how much demand there is for this digital asset. And like I said, it's its own world, its own economy. And again, everything we lend out to retail customers, the margin borrow, it's all against assets. We only do asset-backed lending. We don't do We're not giving people a credit card and hope that they pay us back their balances. We only
So as we
lend
think about
against
the
assets.
risk, so as you think about the risk, if someone defaults, you have coins against it that you could liquidate if needed
Two
to
times,
to
three times, or
two
four times.
times.
Yeah, we have 2x up all the way up to 4x coin collateral against every loan that we issue. So that is if you go and you buy commercial paper, if you buy debt that's being issued, and you earn 4%, you're getting double B or triple B paper, right? So it's bordering on junk bonds, and you're earning 4%. Here you have 200% collateral, and you're getting 8%. So tell me which paper is better paper, you know?
Well, so what would cause it to fall apart? Let's not assume it will, but where are the pressure points? What would cause some real problems?
Yeah. So,
and I don't just mean with Celsius, right? With BlockFi, with you know, there's a lot of
no,
these are gaining traction.
I understand. Yeah. The blockchain is still a new industry, right? So Bitcoin is 13 years old, Ethereum is 6 or 7 years old, and there could be a catastrophic event. There could be something like somebody hacks the Bitcoin network or the Ethereum network, and basically overnight it's worth nothing because no one really knows who owns what, right? So you have to assume that there is additional risk. There's a higher risk for the technology itself. So even though we are getting more collateral, the certainty of that collateral is less safe than other means that we've been using, let's say, for 100 years, right? So there is some technological uncertainty. There is a liquidity issues. So, okay, how big is that market? What's the volume that is being traded every day? And some of the more exotic coins have much lower liquidity. So we are careful not to deploy billions of dollars with an asset that only has millions of dollars in volume, right? Because if we need to liquidate, there's not enough volume to liquidate. But with Bitcoin and Ethereum, they both trade 30, 40, 50 billion every day. So even if we have to liquidate the entire book, we can do it in 1 or 2 days without impact to the price.
It's fascinating. So let's talk about this New Jersey lawsuit. Why did they sue?
Well, it's a request for information. I don't think it's a lawsuit, right?
Okay, I'll take it
they
back.
Didn't go
Why
to
are they?
court
Why are they? Why is New Jersey unhappy?
Well, I don't think they're unhappy. I think we issued a press release that we had 20 billion in assets, and immediately after that, several states requested information from Celsius. I think they were alarmed at the size of Celsius. Just a year ago, we had 1 billion in assets. A year later, we have 20 billion. They were like, wait a second, what's happening here? Who are you? What are you doing in my state, right? So we recognize, the regulators need to know that we are open for them to ask us all the questions they want to know, and we're collaborating and cooperating with all regulators, all over the world, for them to basically learn and understand what we're doing. We provide very, very simple services, right? Like I described: earn, yield, take a loan, and go find somebody who can say to you, I got hurt from using Celsius. I got a little bit more sugar on my sugar and I'm in pain. Or I took a loan and I paid 1% per year and it's really bad for me. That 1%. I'd rather pay 24% on my credit card. So I think if all these states really represent the best interest of their customers, then they will see that these type of services are acting in the best interest of the community, in the best interest of society. And again, we are competing with other forms of lending like day loans or banks or credit card, but what we do is very different, right? Like I said, we only lend to people who have that type of collateral, and no bank in the world, as far as I know, I don't know a single bank that will lend against your Bitcoin or against your Ethereum. So again, we welcome, if we think everything we're doing is legal. We have several law firms that gave us very long dissertations telling us that everything we're doing is legal. But if some regulator wants us to change something or do something differently, we're happy to change our ways. So that's where we are.
Let's talk about the local piece for a minute. Did you consider New Jersey at first, and has it been a good place for you to build this business?
Yeah, so we have, I think, close to 100 employees here in New Jersey, and I love New Jersey. I used to live in Englewood, and in Newport. Definitely, we think this is a great state and a great place to do business. And again, we have customers in many states in the United States, not just we don't just operate, but obviously in New Jersey. And we think that what we do is good for society and good for the community. I mean, our mission is do good and then do well, right? So I can assure you that everything we're doing at Celsius is focused on providing almost all the value back to the customer. And I'm the largest single user of Celsius. I personally have over $300 million of my own assets as a user of Celsius, right? So I'm not talking about me being a shareholder and whatever, just me putting assets to work, earning that yield, just like everybody else. I'm paid exactly the same rate that you or somebody else is paid. And like I always joke, I say I built Celsius, and then 1 million people showed up and said, hey, can I have a seat on the same bus and take the same ride as you? Looks like you figured it out. Can we catch a ride to the same destination, financial freedom? So I think the more people dig into what we do, the more they realize, wow, there is this scenario where we can all win together, and the only losers are the people who are charging us too much for the loans, the people who are not paying us enough interest on our assets, and so on. So that's really what we created, and we're sticking with it.
I love it. It's great to see you. I appreciate you joining us today. You'll be with us in person a week from tomorrow at Propelify. People can get a free ticket with Let's Propel 2021 at Propelify.com. They can also get a free ticket for Celsius users with the code Celsius. And so hopefully we'll see what you have at Celsius Nation. What do you call everybody? I forget the word. I'm sorry.
Celsians. Yeah, Celsians.
Celsians.
Yes.
Love it. I hope we'll see several of them there. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person, and appreciate you joining us there.
Yeah, and I think one of the first time I was at your event, I was talking about voice over IP. So now I'll be talking about money over IP. So it's like a full circle, So it's great to be back. And
a year from now, is it 400 billion? Can you 20x this again?
Well, I hope so, but it would be hard to keep this torrent growth. But we're adding over $1 billion a month right now in assets.
Awesome.
So it's just crazy, right? It's and we don't advertise. We don't really spend money. We rather give you their interest instead of giving it to Facebook or Google. So most of our growth has been organic from just one person telling the other. And if you have digital assets, that's how you earn yield on it. The Celsius way.
Well, it's great to see how your career has evolved, and it's great to know that it's happening locally. And like I said, it's been a little while, so I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. And we'll end on that same high five. 1, 2, 3, boom. Good to see you, Alex. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me again.